Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome into the Hayden Coker Show. It has been a great weekend of football, and let me just tell you, man, I was glued to the TV screen on Saturday. It started off around 11 o'clock, went outside, helped Dad for a little bit. We were building a little awning for our grandmother, then came back inside and watched the second half of the Auburn game. Really fun game, man. Auburn really shocked me, and they did better than I thought they would. I can't believe they were in it in the second half. I figured that they keep the offense. And I said this on last week's show. I figured that their defense would keep them in the game when it came to the first half. Figured they could keep them in the game the first half. Then the second half would be when Georgia really pulled away. But I was wrong. You go into halftime tied 10-10. Questionable call there toward the end of the first half. You had you end up going for it on 4th and 1, 4th and 2, and eventually leading to no points while you're in the red zone when you could have kicked the field goal. But I do like the aggressiveness from Hugh Freeze, and especially when you're against a top team like that. But with it being the number one team, I would have assumed he would have taken the points, but I'm not the coach. I don't know. By the way, I mean, it was a great game either way, so you can't really go wrong with it. One thing that I would like to say and take away from that game is that Carson Beck, man, you got to see him grow up a little bit, and you got to see what he was able to do under pressure, and his first away game as a starter. So Carson Beck got to see what it was really like going on in that game. So I was really happy to see Auburn. Being an Auburn fan, I was really happy to see them compete in that game. Their defense was fantastic. Marcus Harris, who, if they win that game, easily the MVP, hands down. He played fantastic on the defensive side of the ball all game. Jalen Simpson was fantastic as well. He had the interception early in the game, and he goes out in I believe it was the second half. He goes out in the second half with an injury. So you hate to see those kind of things happen, because Jalen Simpson is he's the ringleader when it comes to that secondary. He's the oldest guy in there. I do believe that he's senior, so he's got to be the one to step up and lead that team when it comes to times like those. And when you're in a game like that against the number one team in the country, and you have a chance to win late, leadership comes up big. And I think that's eventually what this team will end up doing. But it's going to come down to or throughout the year anyways, it's going to come down to resilience for Auburn. And it's really going to show if they lack leadership or not. But coming from the locker room, they've got some leadership out there, and I think that Auburn's going to be fine throughout the rest of the year. But I would like to see them pull off an upset or two. Whether you have LSU, you're going to the Swamp. That's always a tough game, especially in the Swamp. You get a win a few years ago in the Swamp with Bo Nix still at the quarterback position for Auburn, ends up transferring out. But Auburn got their first win in Death Valley in 22 years last time they played there. So if they can replicate that in 2 weeks, Auburn's got a bye week this upcoming week. But if they can replicate that, that'd be phenomenal for this team, because going forward, it's going to be about momentum for Auburn, because they're going to need it. You're 3-2 right now. You have LSU in 2 weeks, and you have Ole Miss coming back to Jordan-Hare. Then you got Mississippi State. It's going to be a crucial few weeks for Auburn. This bye week is really going to tell a lot about them, or not the bye week, but the LSU game is really going to tell a lot about them. I don't expect them to go in and win against LSU, but I do expect them to go in and compete. Because if you can go out there and if your defense does what they just did against Georgia, now I get Georgia is not as explosive as they were on offense last year or years prior, but this LSU team has a phenomenal offense right now. Jaden Daniels has some guys rolling. Malik Neighbors, he's cooking. So when it comes to LSU, Auburn, you've got to go into Death Valley in a few weeks, and you've got to have your head on a swivel, because that's an offense that can really do some damage, and they can do it fast, as they showed this past week, although they ended up coming up with a loss to LSU. But would like to say this is the Hayden Coker Show, presented to you by J&K Tire. J&K Tire, you can get on there at J&K Tire and steal, and you can get whatever purchase $10 off if you mention the code the Hayden Coker Show. So just go mention the Hayden Coker Show at J&K Tire, and you can get $10 off of your next purchase. Now, now I want to get into some of the other games. I know I talked about Auburn and Georgia for a hot minute, but that was a great game. One of the best games I watched all weekend. You had Alabama. They just went and they gave the business to Mississippi State. They didn't hold anything back. And Jalen Milroe found his stride. He's playing phenomenal. The defense played well. The offense really came together. Jason McClellan was good. So Alabama looked fantastic. Texas they put a mollywhopping on Kansas, man. And I hate it for Kansas because Kansas, they come into the top 25. You come in 4-0. I hate it for them because they played really well before that game throughout the season. And, it's just one loss. That doesn't define Kansas at all. You have a game this upcoming weekend against Kansas. So that's really going to tell a lot that game is really going to tell a lot about Kansas, and I can't wait to see that one. Jalen Daniels ends up going out in that game, and he is injured. So Jason Bean is looking like he's going to be the quarterback for now. I'm not necessarily sure of the severity of Jalen Daniels' injury, but if he can get back soon, that'd be nice. But Jason Bean actually played pretty well for him along the stretch, down the stretch. USC, they just skimmed by Colorado. Now, that was an interesting one. I didn't expect for Colorado to stay in that game. I expected them to cover the 20. I think it was a 21-point spread. I expected them to cover, but I did not expect for them to come all the way back with, a minute left, and it be a 7-point game, and them, where they were an onside kick away and a solid drive from winning that game. It, of course, a 2-point conversion. But, Colorado is without their two they were without one of their best playmakers in Travis Hunter, their best playmaker, if you will, and Shiloh Sanders out as well in that game, and so it kind of stinks for Colorado because Colorado they're coming into that game 3-1. You really want to win that game after the absolute tail whipping that you got a week ago to Oregon or 2 weeks ago to Oregon. So I know you want to win that game if you're Colorado, but something that everybody wanted to see was Colorado keep it close. I know there's a lot of Colorado haters out there. Whenever they went in to play at Oregon, I was one of them. I wanted them to kind of come back down to ground level, get their heads back on earth. But I will say that is a Colorado team that can do some damage if you're not paying attention to them. If you go and sleepwalking against them, they're gonna come out and they're gonna shock you. This weekend they got Arizona State. That'll be a fun one. I don't expect Arizona State to win that game, but I do think it'll be a pretty decent game. Now, finally, to round off our headlines for the week or the weekend, we have Ole Miss. They ended up beating LSU by a score of 50-49, over 1,000 yards in that game total, and that was just insane. Jackson Dart ended up playing a good game. You had Jaden Daniels playing a pretty good game as well, not to be confused with Jalen Daniels at Kansas. But you look at what that Ole Miss offense was able to do against that LSU defense, which is actually a pretty stout defense. Now, I know it didn't look like it, but Ole Miss went in and they did their thing, man. I don't know about y'all, but I was happy to see it. I can't say I expected it all. I definitely picked LSU to win that game, but you have Ole Miss come in there, and they really held their own. You jump out to an early lead, then LSU comes back, jumps out to a lead, looking like they're going to run away with it, and then look at it, man. Ole Miss scores late to make it a close game, and then they force a 3-and-out for LSU. They sack Jaden Daniels and stop him, and then next thing you know, Ole Miss has got the ball and they're driving. You go down and you end up winning the game 50-49, and that's all there is to it, man. It's something that I really like to see, though, was Jackson Dart and him being really accurate on his passes. You had Harris in the game who was making some plays, the wide receiver position. Guys, I don't know how much more of Ole Miss I need to see before I'm going to start putting them at, hey, you know what? This team can actually win. This team can actually win the SEC West. And I'm going to say I am saying that they could. They are right up there right now, especially with that win at, versus LSU at home. But something that's going to be interesting is Alabama beat Ole Miss last week, and now Ole Miss come back and they beat LSU. Now, if LSU beats Alabama, that would put Ole Miss in the driver's seat in the SEC West. Of course, there are other teams in play. You have A&M, who's still a one-loss team, and they lost to a team that's not in conference. So A&M is still up there, and it's going to be fun to watch the rest of the way. I want to talk to you about Tyler Meads at AIM Mobile Detail right quick. If you're wanting to reset your vehicle or show room condition, you can call Tyler Meads at AIM Mobile Detail. He's got you covered with professional-grade ceramic coatings, paint enhancements and corrections, and full interior and exterior details. You can call Tyler Meads now at 256-458-9949 or message Tyler at AIM Mobile Detail on Facebook. You can call him at 256-458-9949 or message at AIM Mobile Detail on Facebook. Alex Farmer at Alabama Tractor. If you need a lawnmower or tractor or an implement, whatever you need, man, you can go see my friend Alex Farmer at Alabama Tractor in the South's best little city of Asheville, Alabama. Alabama Tractor specializes in Kubota brand machines and equipment, along with other brand items as well. They have a huge parts and service department to keep your machines up and running year in and year out. You can go see Alex and check out their large inventory and ask about their 0% financing. Alabama Tractor is located at 275 6th Avenue at 6th Avenue in Asheville, Alabama. That's 275 6th Avenue, Asheville, Alabama. You can reach Alex at 205-594-7000, and you can check him out on Facebook at Alabama Tractor, Asheville at Alabama Tractor. You can trust their machines and equipment just to work as hard as you do. Now, we've got a lot to cover today, so I don't want to keep y'all for too long, but guys, it's the Hayden Coker Show. We're only on for 1 hour at most a week. So I want to go ahead and give you guys as much information as I can and explain my thoughts, my predictions, and why I think what I think throughout the show. And I hope you guys enjoy the content as well. We're going to be doing some more stuff with Facebook here soon, and possibly a new location for the Hayden Coker Show next Monday. Will it be in Pell City, Asheville, Jacksonville? We don't know yet, but it'll happen. I promise you. So next week, we can go ahead and count it down as a new location for the Hayden Coker Show, and then we will be back the week prior as planned right now. But I would like to go ahead and give you my Mad Dog Team of the Week, brought to you by Nathan Fuller. Thank you, Nathan Fuller, for giving me the good idea for a Team of the Week. And thank you for the name idea, Nathan. And the Mad Dog Team of the Week goes to, and courtesy of Nathan Fuller, goes to Texas. Man, Texas played absolutely insane. They played incredible against Kansas. They really showed that they were one of the, or if not the best team in the Big 12. You have Oklahoma creeping up right behind them. But the Mad Dog Team of the Week goes to Texas, man. You had A.D. Mitchell play phenomenal, over 100 yards receiving. Then you had Jonathan Brooks play phenomenal as well. He had over 200 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. And Quentin Ewers had a touchdown as well through the air. So when it comes to Texas, man, they are right where they want to be. If they can get through this game against Oklahoma next week, I think that might solidify them as the I don't want to say solidify, but like I just did, I don't want to say solidify, but they might just be the Big 12 winner if they can beat Oklahoma next week. Because if they beat Oklahoma this next coming week, by the way, this is a fantastic Oklahoma team. Their defenses are phenomenal, which I'm going to talk about that game next, actually, in the second segment. But they're good, man. And I feel like Texas can win the not the SEC next year, but I feel like the SEC. I feel like Texas can win the Big 10, Big 12. Texas can win the Big 12 if they have a strong performance next week. A strong outing for them next week would be huge. Oklahoma, I'll talk about them in the next segment, but that's going to be a fun one to break down. Now I want to tell you about the honey pimento cheese sandwich at Chick-fil-A. Guys, it's fantastic. It's very, very good. And what I would like to tell you about it is, for one, it's not going to be there for much longer. So you better go down to the Chick-fil-A in Pell City and get it right quick before it's too late. Also, it's a new honey pepper pimento cheese chicken sandwich in a twist on the original chicken sandwich. It features an original Chick-fil-A drizzled with honey, topped with pimento cheese, and served on a warm toasted bun with mild pickled jalapenos. It's fantastic. I've had it. I'm not even a pimento cheese guy, but I tried the sandwich. It was actually fantastic. So if you want a pimento cheese sandwich, hurry up and go down there and get it at Chick-fil-A in Pell City on Martin Street, because it's not going to be there for much longer. It's a seasonal item, so go down and get the honey pimento cheese sandwich. Now, Texas and Oklahoma. Guys, this is going to be a fun one, and I've been looking at this game all dadgum day. Texas played phenomenal last week against Kansas. That's their they had Alabama. Then they had Baylor. They absolutely trounced Baylor. They beat Alabama. You trounced Baylor, and now look, this is a game that I've been looking forward to. Since I found out they were playing this week. So Sunday I kind of started to look into it, and this is a Red River rivalry, guys, and something that I didn't see, or something that I didn't notice until I saw a social media post today. This is allegedly, the SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey is going to be at the Red River rivalry, but the Big 12 Commissioner is not going to be there. So I don't really know what to say about that other than wow. Greg Sankey coming in, he's dropping bombs, man. You get Texas, you get Oklahoma from the Big 12. And now I heard Clemson wants out of the ACC. Could that be a team that the SEC potentially targets? That's a big question as well. So there's so much going on with realignment in the conferences. I would not be surprised if Clemson ends up coming to the SEC. But like I said, we're a ways away from that. We're going to focus on what we got right now. Number 3, Texas in the Hayden Coker Show poll versus number 12, Oklahoma in the Hayden Coker Show poll. Now, both defenses are playing really well. Oklahoma hasn't given up over 20 points over 20 points in a game this year. Texas has. It was to Alabama, but ever since that game, they have not given up 20 or more points. I'm looking forward to this game simply because I think it's going to be a slobber knocker, man. I think they're going to be throwing haymakers. I think that it's going to go blow for blow, and it just comes down to the end. Dillon Gabriel, fantastic quarterback for Oklahoma. Look out for him. He's going to be playing phenomenal. I suppose he's going to be phenomenal this upcoming weekend. You have Texas on the other hand, who you got Jonathan Brooks, who you found this year, who has pretty much solidified his number 1 spot as a RB1 this past weekend when he put up over 200 yards against a mean Texas team, or mean Kansas team. So I was looking at that game, and Jonathan Brooks stood out to me because he not only had over 200 yards rushing, but he also had not 1 touchdown, but 2 touchdowns. So he played fantastic. Of course, that the whole team playing well is why I had them as my Mad Dog Team of the Week. But Jonathan Brooks really caught my eye this past weekend. So I want to see him do a little bit more this upcoming week. You've got Oklahoma. Their defense is playing really good right now. Can they keep it up? Because you played a close game with Iowa State this past weekend for a little bit, and then you ended up pulling away, winning that game 50-20. But for a little while there, you kept that game close, probably closer than it should have been. So I don't necessarily know how to feel about that. I don't think that should have happened. Now, the question is, I know Oklahoma hasn't played really anybody up to this point, like Texas has. Texas has a pretty good strength of schedule right now. But I do think that they're going to come ready to play on Saturday. I think their defense is going to be ready to play. Now, I am saying this is going to be a high-scoring game, but I think the defense could possibly make a few plays that ended up swinging in their direction. And do I think that they win the game? Hold on. Let me get to the bottom of it real quick. I think that Texas is probably going to end up running the ball. They're going to test Jonathan Brooks a lot in this game and give him a lot of the workload this weekend and really just see how it goes. I think you find out a lot about Brooks this weekend and his mentality as a football player. He's going to be a name to look out for, guys. So if you see the name Jonathan Brooks this upcoming weekend, and they say his name on the screen, man, just look out for him. He's going to be fantastic. If Texas runs for over 150, I think they get the job done. Now, up to this point, Texas is rushing for dang near 200 yards a game. They're rushing for 190 yards a game, and that's fantastic. Oklahoma's offense is right up there with Texas. Actually, they're playing better than Texas right now. They're third in the nation offensively. Oklahoma gives up 10 points per game, and Texas gives up 12 points per game. Now, if you put all that together, it's looking like a great defensive matchup, but I just don't think that's going to happen. I don't see the defenses holding each other. I don't think either one of these teams score under 30 points each. I think both of them will probably score more than 30 points each. But it's going to tell a lot about which defense is a little bit stouter this upcoming weekend. Now, Texas' defense is phenomenal. We saw it versus Alabama. You stop the downfield plays, although you did have a deep pass. You did have a deep pass to Burton. And I think it was 1 or 2 of them that got called back. But just keep Gabriel contained. Don't let him out of the pocket. He can hurt you with his legs as well. And he's got an arm. So Dillon Gabriel is he's thrown for 15 touchdowns this year, already over 1,000 yards. And he's only thrown 2 interceptions. So Dillon Gabriel's a name to look out for, and especially if you're talking about the Heisman conversation, because if he does something like that similar this weekend, I wouldn't be surprised if he's thrown up in that Heisman conversation, man. I think he's like top 10. I think he's like top 10. He has top 10 odds to win the Heisman right now, which does not shock me at all because he's a dude, man. He's a dude, and he knows what he's doing. I think it'll be a shootout, but I'm going to go with Texas. I don't know if Oklahoma. I don't think that their defense can end up holding Texas to stop them for a drive in the end to end up getting the ball back and winning. So for that reason alone, I'm going with the Texas Longhorns and screaming hook 'em. I know my dad would be proud right now of me saying hook 'em. From a story I've told in the past, last year Auburn, or year before maybe, Auburn was doing very, very bad. He said, man, you know what? I ought to just go get me one of them burnt orange Texas Longhorn hats, wear it around. So Dad likes the Longhorns just because it's a Longhorn on the hat. But I got to give it to him. I like the logo. But that's pretty much it for Texas and Oklahoma. I think Texas ends up winning the game late. I don't think it'll be a blowout. I think this game's going to be close. And I can't wait for the Red River rivalry, man. It's going to be so much fun to watch. You had a few years ago when Kyler Murray was there, Oklahoma ended up coming all the way back and ended up winning that game. So Texas ended up blowing them out last year, like 40, I think it was 49, 48 to nothing. So if Oklahoma can come back and really do something this year, then that'd be great for them. But I don't see it happen. I think that this is Texas's game to lose. If you want your vehicle reset, showroom condition, you can call Tyler Meads at A Mobile Detail. He's got you covered with professional ceramic grade coatings, paint enhancements and corrections, full interior and exterior details. You can call Tyler Meads now at 256-458-9949 or message Tyler at A Mobile Detail on Facebook. What's up, football fans? If you need a lawnmower, a tractor, or an implement, then you can go see my friend at Alabama Tractor, Alex Farmer. Alex Farmer and Alabama Tractor, great, man. Go in there. He can give you whether it's a lawnmower, an implement, a new part, whatever you need, man. A tractor, he's going to get it for you. And you can go to Alabama Tractor in Asheville, Alabama at 275 6th Avenue, Asheville, Alabama. You can reach Alex at 205-594-7000. That's 205-594-7000. You can check him out on Facebook at Alabama Tractor, Asheville, and Alabama Tractor. You can trust their machines and equipment to work as hard as you do. And that's just the bottom line, guys. They really get it done over there, and you can't argue with it. Go in, get your deal done, get out, and don't even get me started on the 0% financing, because they've got it, man. So go down to Asheville, Alabama, and go to Alabama Tractor right there on the square in Asheville, Alabama, at 275 6th Avenue, Asheville, Alabama. Hey, Pell City, are you looking to spice up your morning routine? You can try Chick-fil-A Spicy Chicken Biscuit, made with the real boneless breast of chicken, seasoned with a spicy pepper blend, and served on a freshly baked buttermilk biscuit just for you. Stop by and enjoy a spicy chicken biscuit in the morning at Chick-fil-A in Pell City at Martin Street. Now, going on to our next segment, guys, I'm going to talk about A&M and Alabama. Look out, because A&M's defense has been playing well this year. Obviously, you give up almost half a century of points to Miami, which is never good. But Miami's offense is looking tight right now, man. Tyler Van Dyke's got them guys rolling, so I won't put them on it too much. But A&M looks good, man. Defensively, Shamar Turner out of his mind, man. One of the best players defensively and offensively, in the nation, man. I can't argue with that. And he's just playing really well this year. So if A&M can go in and play some defense against Alabama, keep it low scoring, I think they can win this game. Look for Anaya Smith to make plays as well. Phenomenal at the wide receiver position. Then you also have Evan Stewart. Evan Stewart ended up catching a game-sealing touchdown this past weekend when they played Arkansas in Texas in the Cowboys Stadium. That was a fun one to watch. If you didn't get to watch it, you can if it's recorded or something, go back and watch it, man, because it's a fun game to watch. And but Le'Veon Moss at the running back position, I think he's played pretty well this year, considering he's a little bit more on the younger end. But I think that he can do some nice things as well. So if you go out and you see A&M this upcoming weekend and you see them beat Bama in Kyle Field, don't be surprised, guys, because this is a very good A&M team. I'm not so sure that Alabama comes out with the level of that spark that they had against Mississippi State. I don't think that happens. I think that they're going to come out, and this A&M defense is really going to be pumped up because you're playing in Kyle Field, prime time on CBS at 2:30. It's going to be a fun one, guys. That crowd's going to be rocking because it's Alabama, guys. Let's just be real. A&M and Alabama has turned into a really great rivalry over the past few years. You had Jimbo Fisher talking a little talk, Nick Saban talking a little talk last year, and then both of them coming together saying, squashing it like real men at midfield last year. Jimbo Fisher standing and waiting on Nick Saban to turn around and shake his hand. I'm not a Jimbo Fisher man, but you go out there and you squash it. But don't butter the guy up. Don't try to suck up to him. I don't think Jimbo Fisher tries to do that at all. But I don't know what to think of Jimbo Fisher other than I just really don't like him. But it's gonna be a fun game this weekend, guys. I want to see if Jalen Milroe comes out and he's able to use his legs like he has been in the past. Now, this is a fast dude, man. And Shamar Turner, defensive tackle, I don't think he's going to be able to keep up with I don't think he's going to be able to keep up with Jalen Milroe. Jalen Milroe, if he's out of the pocket, if he's rolling to the right, man, he can throw it. That's the thing. He can throw the deep ball. He can throw the deep ball. It's just the shorter to mid-range passes that kind of miss. I feel like they really mess with Milroe, and he's just not able to read the defense as he would against or as he does against on the long ball. Because if your wide receiver Jermaine Burton is behind the defense, chunk it up, man. Jermaine Burton's a fast dude. You can throw it up and let him go get it. So it's going to be fun for Alabama. It's going to be an interesting game. Overall, I would say that A&M has been better defensively this year. Offensively, A&M has been better. You've had some games where you look shaky. Max Johnson now the starter after Connor Wigman goes out a few weeks ago or this past weekend in the Auburn game. Went out in the Auburn game due to I believe it was an ankle injury. Don't quote me on that. But now you have Max Johnson. He's come in and he's proven that he can be that he can play like a starting quarterback. Now I want to see it. So you're playing a really good defense. Now, if Max Johnson comes out and he lights them boys up, expect A&M to win this game by maybe 10. But if not, man, I feel like this is going to be a really good game. Alabama secondary, I feel like they're going to have give Max Johnson a heck of a time, or really just make his life living hell for him. And if that happens, I don't see A&M winning this game. The defensive line, I can say the same thing about them on A&M side. If they make Alabama's offensive line, if they make their life hell, then I could see Alabama end up winning this game. It's tough to say. I do not know. I think Alabama's favored by maybe 4 or 5 points, right? As of now, anyways. As of Monday night, Alabama's favored by 4 or 5 points, according to Sports Yahoo. It's going to be fun, man. I don't necessarily have a prediction for this one. I like to wait until Friday rolls around, Saturday morning, and then give you guys my prediction. I'll have it on Facebook, and you can check that out there. But it's going to be a fun one, and that's just to say the least. That's just to say the least there. Now, I would like to go over with everybody my top 25 right quick. This is something that I just started a few weeks ago, given the HCS top 25. That's the Hayden Coker Show top 25. I find enjoyment making it because I find enjoyment being a little bit different from the AP top 25 poll. You see some other polls out there. You got the JP poll, Josh Pate. It's I don't know. I find enjoyment in being a little bit different from other people out there. Coming in at number 25, I have Louisville, 24, Fresno State, 23, Missouri, and 22, Kentucky. I have 21, A&M, and 20, Tennessee. So 3 or 4 straight SEC teams. Missouri has shocked me, by the way, this year. For them to start out 5-0 when I had to finish them dead last in the SEC East, I mean, I don't really know what else I can say about them than wow. They're playing really good. They're playing a really good brand of ball right now, and I wouldn't be surprised if they go out and really, really, really competed against LSU this weekend. It is in Missouri, by the way, so watch out for that game if you're a big college football fan, because that'll be a fun one. Now at 20, I have Tennessee, 19 Miami, 18 LSU, 17 Utah, 16 Oregon State, 15 Duke. Now making this, I do have to say, the thing with Duke that I didn't really pay attention to is losing the game to Notre Dame on Saturday night. That was a real gut punch to them, because especially when you have the game in your hands and then you let Sam Hartman rush for 16 yards and get a first down on 4th and 16. I don't know, man. It sucks to see for Duke. But they also lose their starting quarterback in Riley Leonard, who is a big playmaker, and he can make plays. He's really fun to watch. So I didn't really think about that when putting Duke at 15. I think I put Duke somewhere around the 20, 22, 23 area. But now coming in at 14, I have Ole Miss. Ole Miss with a fantastic win this past weekend over LSU. Now, the thing with LSU, I had them drop to 18. Now, I feel like that's justifiable considering you go out there to Ole Miss, you go into the Grove, obviously tough atmosphere to play in, but I feel like you had that game, man. all you had to do get a first down, and you pretty much win that game. But you end up not being able to do that. Jaden Daniels being stopped short of the first down on third down. So Ole Miss defensively did a great job on that last possession, securing Jaden Daniels, not letting him get out of the pocket and run too much, and really just keeping a lockdown downfield. Because if you watch the game, you saw that secondary wasn't great throughout the game, and to come up huge on their last defensive, I'll say their second and last defensive stand of the drives of the game. They played really well. So I gotta give a shout out to Ole Miss and their defense past the last few drives, and Ole Miss's offense played fantastic as well. So I can't let that go unnoticed. But Ole Miss is my number 14 team, and coming in at number 13, I have a team that throughout the year, or coming into the start of the season, I didn't expect to be ranked coming up, but you start the season out 5-0 with a big win against Oregon State a few weeks ago. Now you're sitting at number 13 in the HCS poll. So that's something I like to see, man. I love Washington State this year. I love what I'm seeing from Coach over there. Cameron Ward is playing out of his mind. You got Josh Kelly playing good, man. You got Williams, on the other hand, playing fantastic. Your wide receivers are playing good, man, and that's what you need from Washington State. Use that to your advantage, man. That's going to come up huge this year because the Pac-12 is the best conference in football this year. I'm sorry. I'm going to go ahead and say that. They're the best conference, top to bottom, in college football this year. And just the way they've been playing, man, it's so much fun to watch them play. They were off this past weekend, but you got this weekend, you have a game at USC, or not USC, at UCLA. That was going to be fun to watch, and I don't really think that UCLA has much of a home field advantage considering that they have maybe 10 fans show up to every home game. Not a nod at them at all, but I mean, golly, man, fans do better. You got to have more than at least 10 of them show up at least. So I got Washington State at 13. Coming in at number 12, I have one half of the Red River rivalry. I have Oklahoma coming in at number 12. Fantastic team, man, this year. I think Dylan Gabriel was able to do some things and I feel like that, honestly, if they went head-to-head with Alabama right now, I think they might win that game. Alabama, though, did get rolling this past weekend at Mississippi State, so maybe they finally have found their identity. Coming in at number 11, Alabama, none other than the Crimson Tide. 10, I have the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. You win a big game at Duke. Riley Leonard goes out in the final offensive drive of the game. So I hate to see that happen, man. I hate to see Riley Leonard out for the season, most likely. It's not something that I want to see at all. But Sam Hartman, I got to give a shout out to my guy Sam Hartman, man. He's got the long black hair. Some would even call him handsome, and I'm not gonna lie, that's one of the most handsome men I've ever seen. I don't want to sound on that level, but I mean that's one of the most handsome men I've seen. But let me tell you, Sam Hartman showed great class after the game. Was asked about how he played and how that helped his team win. Instead of taking the credit, gave all the credit to his teammates, his offense, his defense, and then didn't even give credit to himself at all. I really like Sam Hartman just for that reason and that reason only, because there's nothing wrong with taking a little credit for it. But when you give all the credit to your teammates, that shows a real team player and shows how humble you are as a player. Also, you had him go over after that interview. He said, or toward the end of the interview, you had Sam Hartman go out and say, well, or Holly Rowe asked him a question. No slide at Holly Rowe at all. Great reporter. But asked him a question. He was like, yeah, I appreciate it, but I should really go check on Riley Leonard right now, see how he's doing. The injured quarterback for Duke, by the way, who is still in the injury tent, sat out there for probably 5 to 10 minutes waiting on him to get out of the injury tent. And then finally he gets out and checks on him, see if he's all right. Maybe 10, 15 seconds of interaction, just a slight dap up and a little hug, and then go off and go celebrate with your team in the locker room with a win. So I think that was fantastic from Sam Hartman. He's one of my favorite players in the league right now. Another thing I'd like to say about Notre Dame is that if their defense keeps it up, that's still a fantastic defense. I mean, you give up 16 total points to Ohio State, you lose that game, but still, then you give up 14 points to Duke. And I know their Duke's offense is not the greatest, but their defense is stout, man. And it showed. You don't really score any points throughout the first 3 quarters. In the final 2 quarters, you go out and score 14 straight and 14 unanswered until Notre Dame put the nail in the coffin in their last drive of the game. So you hate to see it if you're a Duke fan, but if you're Notre Dame and Connor Yonker out there, I know who's maybe listening. Connor Yonker, if you're out there listening, your Notre Dame's fighting Irish. They're looking pretty good right now, and if they go undefeated throughout the season, be looking for them in the playoffs. But obviously, you got teams like Clemson on the schedule and USC who are going to be fun to watch as well. And those are two tough teams. I know Clemson's not having the greatest year right now. You lose to Duke early in the season, 28-7, then you lose to Florida State a few weeks ago in overtime, but that's still a good team. Coming in at number 9, I have USC. I'm not sold on USC at all, man. Their defense is absolutely abysmal. When it comes to their offense, they're very sound. They're very sound when it comes to offensive play. Their defense absolutely sucks, man. And I'll tell you that right now. I wouldn't be surprised if USC ends up dropping 2 or 3 games this year, maybe even possibly 4. They've got a rough schedule ahead. You play Oregon, you play Notre Dame again. You even play Washington. You play Utah. So I think you beat Utah. I'm not too high on them, and I'm not sure if they play Washington State this year. I have to look that up after the show. But it's going to be fun to watch regardless, man. USC is going to have I think they're on track to have a really good season, a historical season for Caleb Williams. But I don't think that they're going to make the playoffs or anything like that. I just don't think that their defense has what it takes to stop some of these other teams. Coming in at number 8, I have Oregon. Oregon's playing pretty good this year. I almost said Washington, but they're the next team. 8, I have Oregon. Bo Nick's playing phenomenal right now. Hasn't played a full 4 quarters, I do not think. And he's still putting up phenomenal numbers. Heisman numbers, if you will. One of the best quarterbacks in America right now. I don't think there's any denying that. Oregon with a sound defense as well, playing fantastic. Oregon's my number 8 team. And coming in at number 7, I have none other than the Washington Huskies. Washington's playing phenomenal right now offensively. Michael Penix Jr., that is my dude, man. My preseason pick to win the Heisman Award, and he's balling out right now. If I'm odds makers, I'm making him the favorite if he's not already the favorite. But that's my favorite for sure right now. Michael Penix playing out of his mind, and he'll be fun to watch going into the NFL next year if he doesn't stay. Then at number 6, you have Florida State. Florida State, I'm not too sold on them quite yet. Now, at the beginning of the year, I would have said something completely different. But right now, I have them at number 6. Number 5, I have Ohio State. Ohio State, you come off a big win. You come off a big win 2 weeks ago against Notre Dame. You have a bye week. I have you at 6 because I think I don't think you're the top 2 within the top 2 teams in the Big Ten this year. Now my next team is the number 2 team in the Big Ten, in my humble opinion. None other than the Fighting Nittany Lions and Penn State. Penn State is my number 4 team right now, just on the edge right there of the playoff spot, coming at number 4. They're going to be fun to watch this year. Drew Aller's playing pretty sound. Nick Singleton. You have an explosive backfield, by the way. Run the ball, man. Run the rock. These guys can do it, and they can do it well. So that's why I have Penn State number 4 right now, because I feel like head-to-head they probably beat Ohio State right now. Now, coming in number 3, the Texas Longhorns. The Texas Longhorns have been playing phenomenal ball this year. Now, I could put them at 2, but I wanted to see how Georgia bounces back this next week against a decent Kentucky team. So I have Texas at 3. Now, coming in at number 2, I have Georgia, none other than the Bulldogs. The Bulldogs are playing all right now. I don't expect Georgia to move anywhere right now, especially with Michigan playing how well they played this year. And Michigan finally finding their wide receiver 1 in Roman Wilson. Man, that's going to be a hard team to stop this year, man. Michigan is good. They're defensively, they're fantastic. Offensively, they're fantastic. You've got the run game as well with Blake Corum and Edwards. They're good, man. And I can't really say anything much else about them. I don't have any negative comment to say about Michigan. They're just fantastic, man. So my final top 4, if you were not in here to listen, at number 1, I have Michigan Wolverines. At 2, I have the Georgia Bulldogs. 3, the Texas Longhorns. 4, Penn State. And the 2 on the outside looking out, I have Ohio State and Florida State. That's my top 25, guys. The Hayden Coker Show top 25 is officially out on Facebook. If you would like to check it, if you'd like to go check it out, and you can see it over there. Now I want to give you my biggest surprise of the season so far. Obviously, I got Colorado written down there as well. I mean, they're playing. I mean, they've shocked me already, man. I didn't expect them to win. I think I had coming in the season, I had them winning maybe 4 games, going 4-8, and they're 3-2 right now. So. And losing to 2 very good teams. So, well, I don't know if USC is very good. But anyways, you have a close loss of them at home. That stinks, but you keep it close against a fairly decent USC team who has a phenomenal offense. So Colorado, obviously. Texas, man, I didn't expect Texas I expected them to beat Alabama, but I did not expect them to play as well as they're playing right now. They've got some dudes, man, and they've got the guys to win it all this year, I do believe. I'm not saying they win it all, but they've got some dudes. Then you have Missouri. Missouri starting out 5-0. I projected them to finish dead last in the SEC. So for them to be 5-0 right now, and you beat a top 15 team in Kansas State, which is Kansas State, but I don't know if you're Missouri. I can't really knock you, man. You're playing good football right now. Now I do think you lose this upcoming week against LSU, but I still think it's going to be a pretty good game. Kentucky 5-0. I don't really think I'm not too high on them still, but Ray Davis, man, how about it? Sweet baby Ray took to the end zone a few times on Saturday. Over 200, I think he had 280 yards rushing and 3 total touchdowns. So they played phenomenal. Devin Leary still looks absolutely horrible. Their defense looks good, though. So Ray Davis is a bright spot for that Kentucky offense. Absolutely. I mean, there's nothing else to say about Kentucky other than Ray Davis is phenomenal. I'm not high on Devin Leary, as Damian Mitchell would say. He's dog dookie. Get him out. He's terrible. But I'm not too high on Kentucky. We'll see how it goes this next week when they go into Sanford Stadium and face off against the Georgia Bulldogs. Washington State, they've shocked me this year, man. They're 5-0. I didn't expect them to be ranked coming into the season. Cam Ward's balling out. Like I said earlier, Josh Kelly's balling out. Williams is balling out. The wide receiver position. These are some dudes, man. You got Dylan Edwards as well. Not Dylan Edwards. Dylan Thomas. I don't know why I said Edwards. Dylan Thomas, transfer from Mississippi State. Fantastic guy. But one thing I would like to say about Washington State is to watch out for them in the Pac-12, because you thought that it was just Utah, Oregon, USC, Colorado. You thought it was just them and Oregon State. No, now you got Washington State rising to the scenes. And UCLA, who's not a bad football team as well. Like I said earlier, the Pac-12 is the best team top to bottom in college football right now, and I firmly stand behind that. You can put up SEC's SEC. Guys, go look at what the Pac-12 is doing. The Pac-12 is – I don't think anybody else comes close to the Pac-12 right now. The Big 12's all right. The Big 10's all right. SEC's they're all right too. But, guys, the Pac-12 is just phenomenal right now. The ACC's up there too. They're all right. But, guys, man, the Pac-12 is fantastic this year, and I can't slot them in the most. Texas Tech surprised me with how bad they are. They're terrible right now. And you played a good game against Oregon, though, in what was it, week 2? I think it was week 2. Played a good game against them. Man, it's just the way that they've been playing lately is not what I expected them to see at all. You've got some good recruits coming in, though, if you're Texas Tech. And, by the way, if you're Texas Tech, if you're a fan of country music, Hayden Wigginton, wide receiver for Texas Tech, he sings country music on the side, and he's pretty dang good at it. You can go check out his EP on Apple Music. It's fantastic. Just search up Hayden Wigginton. That's Wiginton. And he's a phenomenal singer. Then you got Oklahoma. Didn't expect them to be 5-0 and playing at the magnitude that they're playing right now. So those are my surprises so far, man. They've been fantastic. Some of the teams I just mentioned, other than Texas Tech is absolutely piss poor. But other than that, I really can't argue, man. Some of these teams are just playing fantastic ball, and I'm not going to sit there and say that I expected. I didn't sit there and expect Texas Tech to come out and run the table and win the Big 12 or win the national championship, but I expected them to be better than that. Anyways. Are you wanting to reset your vehicle to show room condition? Well, Tyler Meads at A Mobile Detail has got you covered. He's got you covered with professional grade ceramic coatings, paint enhancements, corrections, and full interior and exterior details. You can call him now at 256-458-9949 or message him at A Mobile Detail on Facebook. You can call Alex Farmer at Alabama Tractor at 205-594-7000 at Alabama Tractor. If you need a lawnmower, tractor, or implement, go see my friend Alex Farmer at Alabama Tractor in the South's best little city of Asheville, Alabama. Alabama Tractor specializes in Kubota brand machines and equipment, along with other brand items as well. They also have a huge parts and service department to keep your machines up and running year in and year out. You can go see Alex to check out their new 0% financing and their large inventory. How about it? 0% financing is hard to beat. So go see Alex Farmer at Alabama Tractor, located at 275 6th Avenue, Asheville, Alabama. You can reach Alex at 256. You can reach Alex at 205-594-7000. Reach Alex Farmer at 205-594-7000. Or check him out on Facebook at Alabama Tractor. Asheville, Alabama at Alabama Tractor. You can trust their machines and equipment to work just as hard as you do. Now I want to tell you about the honey pepper pimento cheese sandwich at Chick-fil-A. The new honey pepper pimento cheese chicken sandwich is a twist on the original Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich. It's featured on a Chick-fil-A drizzled with honey, topped with pimento cheese, and served on a warm toasted bun with mild pickled jalapenos. Guys, it's fantastic. I don't even like how pimento cheese, but it's fantastic. You need to go down there and try it. Chick-fil-A in Pell City on Martin Street. Go down there now. Go down there quick and try it because it's about to be out of season in about a week or two. So go down to Chick-fil-A in Pell City on Martin Street and try it now. Now I'm going to predict a few games for you. Bama and A&M already said that I'm going to wait until the end of the week. Top to bottom, I'd still say SEC. Pac-12 is top-heavy, exciting for sure, but the bottom teams in the SEC would still be better than the middle of the Pac-12. All right, Damien, I have a question for you. Do you think that a healthy Missouri team would beat a healthy UCLA team? I'm going to go ahead and go around with these picks while you answer. LSU at Missouri, it's going to be a fun one in Missouri, but I do think that LSU pulls that one off. I'm not necessarily sure how close it will be, but I do think that LSU ends up pulling it off. Syracuse at UNC, that'll be a fun one, I do believe. Cuse coming off a tough loss to Clemson. I thought they were going to win that game. I'm not going to lie to you. Garrett Schrader using his moves, man, juking and looking all shifty and stuff. But yes, especially the way Mizzou was playing, man. I wouldn't be surprised, man, or I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up winning the game. But I wouldn't be surprised if Missouri took LSU down to the final few minutes, man. With the way Missouri's playing, I would not be surprised at all. But Syracuse, I think that it's a tough one because Syracuse, obviously they played well. I know they didn't play anybody up until Clemson. Now, Clemson showed them who they were. They went out and showed that they still can't compete with Clemson just yet. But I saw some stuff from Garrett Schrader that I really like. Now, they're going to Chapel Hill in North Carolina, so I don't necessarily know if they win that game, but I do think it will be a close one. So I'm going to take UNC in that game. Kansas versus UCF. Going to be a fun one, man. Jalen Daniels out. That really sucks for Kansas, but you've got Jason Bean, who is not the worst quarterback in the world, come in last week and really played well. He showed off his arm as well. And Jason Bean's got some speed, guys, so don't be surprised if Kansas wins this game. Kansas is favored by 3.5 points. Or don't be surprised if Kansas comes out and Jason Bean plays well, and that ends up being the reason they win this game. UCF's not a bad team, guys. This is a Gus Malzahn-led team they're physical and they're fast. Now, when it comes down to Timmy, I believe his last name is McCain, Timmy McCain. I'm not too sold on him yet. I think he's got some growing pains to do. Damien says, "Give me them fighting Malzahns, man." It's going to be a fun one, dude. That's one of the games that I cannot wait for because UCF. Now, I do realize that you take a really tough loss a few weeks ago to Kansas State. I picked them to win in that game. They didn't do me justice, but this is the Jayhawks, man. They're a team that's a little bit better than Kansas State, in my opinion. But for some reason, I see UCF. Some reason, I see Kansas. I'm a little up in the air about this game, but I'm going to go with the safe bet, Damien, and I'm going to take Kansas, and I'm going to take the 3.5 line that I saw earlier today. Now, going to be a close one, but I'm just taking Kansas for the safe bet because I genuinely do not know about this game. Ole Miss versus Arkansas, man. That's going to be a fun one. Damien, I would like to know what you think about this one. Now, the thing with Ole Miss, you're coming off a big win against LSU. You upset them. You win 50-49. You put up over 500 yards of total offense. That was actually insane, by the way. You do that. You put up over 600 yards offense. Let's go ahead and double down on that. And, of course, your defense gives up you give up some yards to LSU. That's a fantastic offense, man. Arkansas is a tricky one because it seems like they're always a nail in Ole Miss's foot, it seems like. KJ Jefferson didn't have the best game this past weekend when you played A&M. I picked Arkansas to win that game. I actually do believe. I can't actually remember that, but I'm going to go with Ole Miss in a close one. I just don't think that Arkansas is quite to that level of good yet. I do think they're a good team, just not quite to that level as Lane Kiffin and the Fighting Land Sharks are right now. TCU at Iowa State. The way Iowa State played this weekend in the first half, they kept it close with TCU. I'm not necessarily sure on this team. Ole Miss offense is too much for Arkansas defensively, and I agree with you, Damien. They're just I'm not too sure about what to say about Arkansas. I'm just kind of disappointed. I thought that you might win that game last week against Texas A&M, but Damien, like you proved me wrong against Texas A&M is a pretty good ball team. But TCU and Iowa State, I like to think that Iowa State is going to win this game with it being in their home stadium. You take Oklahoma, you keep it close to them for a half. But as we all know, football is four quarters. So you can't play a half and expect to go out there and win, as we've seen several teams do this year. I'm going to take Iowa State in a close one, but I think that TCU puts a little bit of pressure on them in the end. Texas Tech at Baylor, that's another fun game in the Big 12. I'm going to take Texas Tech on the road at Baylor. Texas Tech's disappointed me this year, Damien. They disappointed me big time. But I'm going to go with Texas Tech on the road at Baylor. I think they get it done. Purdue at Iowa. Iowa loses their starting quarterback. I'm going with Purdue in a close game. Washington State at UCLA. I'm going to take the Cougars, man. I've got to take Washington State. That's my team. Damien, like how you were high on Tennessee last year with Hendon Hooker. I'm high on the Cougars this year. I'm not saying they go out and win the Pac-12, but man, this is my team, man. This is my team. I'm claiming Washington State. Now late this year in the Apple Cup, that's going to be a fun one between Washington and Washington State. I don't know where that game's being played at this year, but I cannot wait for that game. But I'm going to take Washington State at UCLA. I don't think that Dante Moore is quite ready yet for this Washington State team, but I think it's going to be a fun one regardless. And when UCLA has maybe 5-10 fans show up to any of their games, it just doesn't give them much of a home field advantage. So maybe for it being a little bit warmer at UCLA than it is in Washington. Now, Jack State at Middle Tennessee State. This is a weekday game. I actually got to meet Rich Rodriguez earlier in the week last week, and of course I was wearing my daggum goofy socks. I was wearing my 8-ball socks. They're orange with a black 8-ball on them. And I go up to him like, "What's up, Coach? It's Rich Rod, right?" He goes, "Yes, sir, that's me." He said, "What's your name?" I said, "Hayden Coker. Nice to meet you." And he looks down at my socks, looks back up at me, and goes, "So what's your story?" And immediately just then I was just like, "Oh, man." And I knew it was the socks. I was like, I should have dressed professional on the day that I was going to meet Coach Rich Rod. But honestly, great guy. He's super down to earth, fantastic guy. I'm going with my Gamecocks, man. I know I'm wearing an Atlanta Braves shirt, or a sweatshirt, but I'm going to have to go with Jack State at Middle Tennessee State in the middle of the week on Wednesday at, I believe, 7 o'clock. Now, Kentucky and Georgia. I don't think that Kentucky can hang with Georgia, man. And I'm not saying that Georgia has just high-powered offense that's going to go out and score 45 on them. But Kentucky's got a good defense, but their offense absolutely stinks. And I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball very well against Georgia, and that is really pretty much the demise of Kentucky right there. Ray Davis is the only bright spot on this Kentucky team that I see. Damien, I know that you like to comment on Devin Leary all the time about how he's dog dookie and everything, but I agree with you. He's terrible, man. He played really terrible against last week, and especially against that Florida secondary. UK ain't made for that fight. Gets humbled. I 100% agree. Devin Leary, he's just not ready. I think he probably throws 2-3 interceptions. And Ray Davis, I just don't know if he's able to generate any source of offense, man. I don't think that Kentucky's able to generate any source of offense on Saturday. So I'm going to go ahead and take Georgia, and I think they probably win by 17, 20, 24 points. Now, and Notre Dame at Louisville. Notre Dame, you come off a big win this past weekend against Duke. When honestly, you probably should have lost that game, but Sam Hartman pulled some crap out of his rear end and scrambled for it, which I did not expect him to do on 4th and 15, 16. Ended up getting him the first down, and eventually Notre Dame would go on to win that game. But And then I can't forget about my guy, Aldrich Estime, who played at the end of the game. He put it in when it matters. It ended up scoring the game-winning touchdown for him. It's Aldrich Estime, running back for Notre Dame. Now, Louisville, I'm not going to lie to you, I don't know too much about Louisville other than their quarterback has a funny last name. But I think that Notre Dame probably wins this game. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if Louisville came out and really made this a game late in the second half. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take Notre Dame, and that's pretty much all there is to it. I don't know too much. I don't know the most about Louisville in the world. I know they're good. They're very good offensively and sound, but I don't think that they're able to hang with Notre Dame. They end up getting beat, and Notre Dame's defense wins them that football game, quite like they did this past weekend against Duke. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the 6th edition of the Hayden Coker Show. I'm going to pull little Shadur Sanders right there. But this is the 6th edition of the Hayden Coker Show. Thank you, everybody, so much for watching. And right quick before I go, this has been the Hayden Coker Show presented to you by J&K Tire. J&K Tire, they like to help support Hayden and the Hayden Coker Show. It's a young man with a lot of talent and knowledge, and we're proud to support him. You can mention the Hayden Coker Show and receive $10 out of any service at J&K Tire on your next visit. And so go down to J&K Tire, mention the Hayden Coker Show. A&M Bama. Now, Damien, this is one that I mentioned earlier in the show. But I mentioned the Hayden Coker Show, J&K Tire, for $10 off of any service that you need at none other than J&K Tire and Steel. Damien, my man, A&M and Bama. I did forget to give a prediction. I talked about it earlier in the show, and I said I was going to give a prediction later. But I want to, just for you, Damien, just for you, I want to go ahead and give you a little prediction on this weekend's game, A&M and Alabama. Now, this past weekend, Alabama got rolling at Mississippi State. They put on a good performance, solid, sound on offense. Defensively, they were good. It's Mississippi State, though. You're going into Kyle Field this coming weekend. Into Kyle Field, can you keep that same momentum rolling? You're coming off a big win against Mississippi State. Jalen Milroe played good. I want to see Jalen Milroe really use his legs this game like he usually does. And if he really uses his legs, if they get Jace McClellan involved out of the backfield a little bit, screen pass, they run a few boots maybe, and you hit Jermaine Burton on a deep ball. I feel like if you hit Jermaine Burton on a deep ball late, I think that maybe Bama could. But hold on. Max Johnson is in for Texas A&M right now. And Max Johnson has proven that he is not a bad backup quarterback. Now, I get he's a backup for a reason, but Connor Wigman was playing pretty good. So, I mean, Max Johnson, obviously the transfer from LSU. I think that A&M comes out and they put up a pretty good ball game for Alabama. I think they ended up winning it late. I think A&M wins the ball game late. Now, the big question is around Max Johnson. Now, if he turns the ball over, if he shows a little bit of immaturity within the league in his career, I do think that Alabama goes out and win this game. But if he plays to his full potential, I do think that Max Johnson goes out and wins. And as we know in the past, A&M comes to play against Alabama, Damien. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Texas A&M Aggies, and I think they win this game, man. It's going to be a fun one. It's going to be nice. It's going to be fun to watch. Defensively, I think the A&M has what it takes. Hey, man, we out here, Damien. I had to zoom in. I had to zoom in a little bit because my eyes are not the greatest in the world. But Damien, I'm going with the A&M Fighting Aggies. Go ahead and drop your prediction right now. I think I know who you're taking, but go ahead and drop it for me, and I will stay on here until you do, my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Hayden Coker Show, presented to you by the J&K Tire. Shout out to our sponsors, J&K Tire, Alex Farmer at Alabama Tractor, AIM Mobile Detail, Tyler Meads at AIM Mobile Detail, and Chick-fil-A in Pell City. Chick-fil-A in Pell City, remember, go down and get a spicy biscuit or honey pepper pimento cheese sandwich before the honey pepper pimento cheese sandwich is gone and out of season, because it's going to be gone within the next few weeks. So if I were you, I'd hurry up and go do that. Go get it while it's here, because it's not going to be here for much longer. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Hayden Coker Show. Damien, you're taking too long, man. I got to end it. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. This has been the Hayden Coker Show, presented to you by J&K Tire. Y'all have a great week and a fantastic football weekend. I will have some content. And now he's back. That Bama third team in the SEC take didn't age well, I see. You know which way I'm going. Hey, David, sometimes all I need is a little bit of wisdom coming my way, and I'll pick the right team. But, we'll see. Big game this weekend between A&M and Bama. You also have Texas and Oklahoma. If you didn't get my picks, I have Texas A&M winning, and I also have the Texas Longhorns winning. Damian, everybody out there watching, thank you. Y'all have a fantastic weekend. Chop on.